How's it going? My name's Keith Sanchez and welcome to Rancho de Sancho Studios. I'm bringing you a video kind of in the spirit of Halloween and that it's akin to a Frankenstein video, cobbled together of pieces, constructed over months. I started the sound panel build. I started building the panels, the original ones, back in the end of July. Got another job here in the studio after that, so I used some of that money and decided I'm going to build the bass traps too to go with it. So I built those in August. Then I got some more little bit of work here, and I decided, well, you know, before I put all this together, I think I need to paint the ceiling and the walls because I've just been wanting to do that for a while. So, built the original traps in July. I built the end of July. I built the bass traps in the middle of August. Things happen. I had them stacked over here in the corner for a while. Finally got the original test without the stuff. I did that on September 17th. Finished everything. I decided, paint the walls. I got it all together. So now it's October 6th and I'm making the video, finishing the video, and finished the final after test today. So took a while, but it was worth it. Just building the panels, the cloud, and the bass traps probably would have took 4 solid days, 4 good 8-hour days, I'd say, by myself. With the cutting, the gluing, the screwing, cutting the Roxul to fit the traps, putting the fabric in, it's stapling everything together. It took me 3 months to get this together. I'm sorry for some of the footage you're going to see on this. Some of it was filmed out in the garage with this camera here, some of it with my cell phone. I kind of got caught up in getting the project finished instead of providing good content like I should have. That's something I'm still working on. But, it was hot. I did the things in July. It was the hottest day of the year, so I ended up working at night, and there was some fan noise. And here's some of that footage, and we'll see you on the other side of that. All right, today we're going to be measuring out and cutting these boards to make some sound panels. I'm sure you've seen plenty of this stuff on YouTube, but I figure, we'll go ahead and show the process a little bit. So probably speed through this though. It comes handy, and I learned when I made my sound booth. Make sure you kind of measure and plan out your cuts a little bit, so make sure you've got everything you need. But see our Roxul back there in the background, I don't know if you could see that back there right here. Opened it up, you gotta let it expand a little bit. But I'm making 5, basically 16-inch by 4-foot panels. I'm making 2 double 30 by 4-foot that I'm gonna put behind my speakers. And then I'm making to make one by 3 panels wide by 1 length for overhead to make a cloud above the head there. They didn't have all the ones. I was just going to get 8-footers because they were cheaper. The 10-footers a little more, but I had to get a few more of those because they ran out of 8-footers because of the virus. They're having supply problems. But I got 2 drills here. One to drill the pilot hole, one to set the screw in, and box of real screws. Tape measure you're going to need. I got a square to kind of make my marks correct. This is something I bought that I'm hoping is going to come in really handy.
Oh, what is that?
Close up. So put your 2 boards in there, clamp them, put the glue, put them together, clamp them down, drill your pilot holes, put your screws, move on to the other side. Hopefully that's going to help. I don't know. I'm not much of a carpenter, more of a mechanic, but not much of that neither.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's begin. So I'm marking, 47 inches for my sides. Measure everything out, make sure it's good, and then cut it. Hopefully just right. Yeah, this is the fun part. We risk your limbs.
I want all your story and I want
This thing was only like $12 or $15, and I highly recommend if you're gonna tackle this project, you get you one. All right, day 2. Yesterday I got all the frames built. Yeah, yesterday I got all the frames built and got everything glued together, screwed together. Okay, so now I'm gonna use this mesh screen. Got it at the fabric store in the utility fabric section. Seems pretty damn strong. Some kind of nylon netting. I'm gonna use it for the back. Just, I don't know, I've heard it's okay to leave the backs open on these, and I just gotta keep those fibers in if I can. So what I did, so these are measure out actual, you know, for some reason lumber stores lie to you. I don't know, the lumber world gets away with it, you know, 1x4s, but of course they're 3/4 of an inch thick by 3.5 inches wide. The length's the length, I don't know, I guess shrinkage. Anyway, I drew a line about 1/2 inch inside of each one, and then I'm gonna take that screen, I'm gonna start at one end, and I'm gonna staple it on the inside, and then I'm gonna come, fold it around, pull it tight, and staple on the inside on this side, on the top and bottom, so when I put the Roxul inside, it sandwiches in between that layer of mesh and then the layer of fabric that I'm gonna put around the outside of these. After dark, that's why I like to do this quickly. Stuff right here, you'll see all this here. I'm working on building some corner base traps, but you know, I figured you don't want to see all that kind of sawing and stuff. If you really wanted to watch a guy handling his wood, you'd watch a different channel. You see down here, got the triangles here, got a leg, you know, I screwed in over here, this side. Look over here is the finished products. So basically what's going to happen is I'm going to staple some weed fabric inside of there. Terrible canvas I'm using my phone, I apologize. Probably crappy sound too. But anyway, I'll get them back on the bench here in a minute when I'm done with all of them. But I'm going to put weed fabric inside and then cut this Roxul on that same diagonal as the triangle ends. Stuff it in there and then wrap it with fabric. So there's the inside. This part will be up against the wall. There'll be fabric covering over, and Roxul will be stuffed inside. There we have the completed one. Don't know how it's gonna work, but we'll see. I used an electric knife to cut the Roxul. What I did is I took the Roxul bats are 15 1/4 inches wide by 47 inches long. So I just measured 15 1/4, drew a line, cut a square, cut corner to corner, flipped them and stuffed them inside of those troughs and stapled everything up. Basically, I was getting 3 squares out of 1 bat. So to make both of the upper and lower base traps in both corners I have them in, I was left with 2 full bats and 2/3 of one. So the 2 I put some extra panels that I put down on the other side, and then I'm gonna save the leftover pieces. Plan to build some walls to go between the drums and the guitar and bass cabinets, and I'm gonna build like a little horseshoe cloud above to maybe catch some of that cymbal reverb off the cymbals before it comes back down into my overhead mics. So now we'll take a look at some of the sound measurements I did. On the other end of that, we'll take a look at the finished product hanging up and see the aesthetics of it and how it looks. If you could, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and click that bell there for notifications. I'd really appreciate it. And if you have done it, thank you. If you're about to do it, thank you also. 48 inches away from that speaker to the center of this mic, 48 inches away from the right speaker to the center of the mic, and both speakers from the center of the cone to the center of the cone are 48 inches. So we have the perfect little triangle here. All right, now let's take a look at some results that we got here. So the software is called Grimy Wizard. It's open source. They prefer a donation if you can. I'll have a link in the description so you can look at that. Let's see here. Here's the before. We'll look at around 75 hertz right here. 75 hertz, and we'll take this up. So it seems a lot more focused in here, at 75 hertz. See what those 2 blue lines are in the background. It's kind of 3D, so it's a little weird. 81.8 hertz there. When we did the after test, man, you can see that we're 85, 87 hertz maybe, so it boosted things up quite a bit. 87.4, so that's a good gain. You can see it's more consistent now. Before, everything's down here. You had some peaks. It was pretty consistent, except this big weird drop here in the bass. Right here, we got about 123.1 hertz. As you can see in this dip right here. Before, you see it still dips out, but it's not as bad. 75.6, so we gained 5 dBs pretty much across the spectrum. So it is more focused. In fact, if we go to all sound pressure levels, you can see at 74.5 hertz, we went from 81.78 all the way up to 87.21. That's a pretty significant gain. Now, if you go from 2 to 20,000 hertz, that shows you big differences. Here's the September 17th test right here. Look at some of those crazy dips and spikes and ups and downs. Everything seemed to get smoothed out a little bit. You'll still see some of these dips, but they're not as drastic as they were. Kind of see it still follows the same. It's just a little smoother than it was here. A little more all over the spectrum from this point to this point than it is. I guess this would be my lowest point now. My trips going upstairs are a lot fewer and far between now. This is one here I wanted to look at, distortion. So you can see on September 17th, 1,805. I'm not exactly sure what that means. We have less here, it's about half. This shows the distortion and the harmonics, the fundamental, and as it goes on. When you come over here at the final total harmonic distortion, you can see on the September 17th test, as you can see, the total harmonic distortion over here, 0.440%. And when we come to this newest test, 0.346. I'm not an audio engineer, but all I can say is I'm really glad I did it. It makes it more focused. The trips upstairs have been a lot less. What I'm hearing here, I actually am starting to beginning to trust. And it's definitely something I think you should look into. Okay, so now here's a look at the finished product. I've got 4 panels on the wall, 4 panels on this side where the bass normally inhabits the room across from my vocal booth. I got another couple down there by the guitar. I've got this overhead cloud that I built here. I've got a couple panels up here in front of my speakers to bounce those. One on the other side to catch that other first reflection point. It made a big difference, not only like for mixing, but just being in the room in general. Took out some of that weird echoes. It just made it feel tighter in here. It makes it feel better in here. Could be that I painted some of the ceiling and some of the other stuff in here. That also has helped as well. I used eye hook or screw hooks inside the frames, which slide into eye hooks on the walls. There's a 1.25 inch wood screw at the bottom I put in to adjust to keep the even spacing. There's probably about between the 1/2 inch gap from the stuff inside the boards and then to the wall. So it's about 1 inch away from the wall, which is what I've heard you're supposed to have. The overhead cloud, I use a little bit bigger screw hooks up into the rafters, and I use some chain to hang that from the ceiling. Said it's made a huge difference. My mixes are translated a lot better since I've done this. A lot less trips upstairs to go check it on different stereos or out to the car to go check it on stuff. It's pretty reassuring to know that what I'm hearing here as I'm doing it, it's going to translate to other things. It's really saved me a lot of time so far. I wish I would have gotten it done a lot sooner, but you know how things go. With all the stuff, with all the board I bought, 2 bales of the Roxul Safe and Sound, the fabric, wood glue, the screws, some of the screws I have, but the screw hooks and the eye screws. All in all, parts is about $225-ish around there. I did buy that clamp for an extra $20. I highly recommend if you're going to tackle such a job, you get that because it really made my life a lot easier making those. It would have came out nowhere near as good at doing it by myself without that clamp. I'm going to say it's definitely worth it. Like I said, the time saving alone, it's already saved me hours of running upstairs listening to a mix, only to be really disappointed and frustrated at times when it didn't sound like it sounded here. That's gone now, pretty much. It sounds, what I'm hearing here when I take it upstairs, it sounds like that on my telephone. It sounds on my home stereo in the car. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm glad I did it. Wish I would have done a lot sooner, like I said. But something you're thinking about in your studio, absolutely, definitely, I recommend this. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope this was entertaining for you. Like I said, please, if you can, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you.